Hi. How are you, Harriet? We just left Harriet. This is one of the finest attorneys you will ever see. I have seen her in action, and she is brutal. I never want her against me, that I can tell you. Dan Muser. Dan? Thank you, Dan. Thanks, Dan. Good job you're doing. Wesley Hunt, my friend, too. Wesley, great. I love your commercial. Pete Stauber. Pete. Thank you, Pete. Great hockey player he was, right? Great hockey player. And a great gentleman just broke the record of Wayne Gretzky. The great one is Wayne Gretzky, but we have another great one too, huh? Just broke the record. It was great. Governor Greg Gianforte. Greg, nice seeing you. Good, Greg. Thank you very much, Greg. Bill Lee. Bill, thank you very much. Patrick Morrissey, West Virginia, just got elected. Mark Gordon. Mark, thank you. Thank you very much. And we have a lot of others, and I'm in trouble because I don't know. I got 5 or 6 others that I see quickly, but I'm just not going to do it. Don't hold it against me because we have to get back to the most important people in the room, these people. You know that, right? So the energy workers and the coal miners in the area that I'm standing on, and that's a lot of weight on this platform, so I don't know what's going to happen. I hope it's structurally designed for you guys. I don't know. But we have just really well-deserving, great American patriots, and it's such an honor to be here and making such a big move, such a bold move in energy. Because, you know, for years, people would just bemoan this industry and decimate the industry for absolutely no reason. Because with modern technology and all of the other things that we do, it's one of the great forms of energy. That's why other countries, leading countries, are using it, some exclusively. For 4 long years, Joe Biden and congressional Democrats tried to abolish the American coal industry. They did everything in their power while he was awake, which wasn't much, shutting down dozens of coal plants, banning coal leases on federal lands, and putting thousands and thousands of coal miners out of work, destroying their lives, actually, destroying their lives. I'll never forget when I went to West Virginia, which I won by 48 points, I think, right? Big Jim, I won by 48 points. But in the first campaign where Hillary Clinton was about 4 states too early, and she was talking about how bad coal was and how they were going to teach coal miners how to make widgets and gadgets and technology, which they didn't want to do. They want to mine. One thing I learned about the coal miners, that's what they want to do. You could give them a penthouse on Fifth Avenue and a different kind of a job, and they'd be unhappy. They want to mine coal. That's what they love to do. And she was going to put them in a high-tech industry where you make little cell phones and things. I don't know. Do you think he'd be good at that? I don't know. I would be. You don't want to be. And she was brutal about 3 weeks before, but then she had a problem. She went to West Virginia looking for votes, and that was a bad situation. You remember that? And there was a coal miner around the table with his family, and he was in tears because of what they had done to him and his family. And I hope he's still around, but that man made quite an impression on the world and the public. And we ended up winning in a great election, but we ended up winning by a lot. The Democrats' Green New Scam killed jobs and sent prices soaring here in America. But meanwhile, China opened 2 coal plants every single week, and other countries likewise went very strongly back into coal. Some of them never got off. Those are the ones that didn't have the problems. The Biden energy policy was to put America last. We want to be last. We got to be last. Not a good policy. Under my administration, we're putting America first. It's very simple. America's always going to be first. On my first day in office, I terminated the Green New Scam. I declared the national energy emergency and withdrew from the unfair, one-sided, and extremely costly to the United States only Paris Climate Accord. You know, under the Paris Climate Accord, we had a terrible situation. We would have paid over $1 trillion. Think of it, over $1 trillion. And Russia was paying almost nothing. Russia had a 1992 standard. China was paying nothing. China didn't kick in until 2035. This was 5 years ago. So they didn't kick in for many years. India had no standard whatsoever. But we had the highest standard you could imagine. We had to start paying from day one. And we had to pay lots of money. We paid for everything. So I was not a big fan of the Paris Accord. And I let it be known, and I got out of it early. Then they went back into it. And now we get back out of it. And hopefully we can be there for a long time, okay? A long time, because it was a scam to take money away from the United States and actually hurt us very badly with coal and with other things. Now, under the executive order that I will sign in a few moments, we're slashing unnecessary regulations that targeted the beautiful clean coal. We will rapidly expedite leases for coal mining on federal lands, and these two gentlemen are going to do a real job of it. You've already started. And we'll streamline permitting. We will end the government bias against coal, and we're going to unlock the sweeping authorities of Defense Production Act, the Defense Production Act, to turbocharge coal mining in America. They made it impossible. You actually, I know a friend of mine has a plant. He said, you know, it's a shame. I'm ripping it down and I'm replacing it with another form of energy. I won't tell you because it's also very good, but it's not as powerful as this. He said, you know, the plant I'm building, the new plant, is literally half as good. It's no less, you know, it's not probably even as good environmentally, but he said it produced half the power for more money, much more money. It'll never compete with that beautiful plant I have down the road, which was really a modernized coal plant. Well, he'll be happy to know that he can open that plant up very quickly, and it's going to produce a lot. But he was complaining. He said, this is so much better. He wasn't doing that as politicking me. He was doing that because that's what he felt. And he knew every form of energy. We talked about that. He knew every form of energy. But our government is going to do something that's very different. And I don't think even you two know about this. This was my idea from about 15 minutes before I got up here. We're going to guarantee that we have a strong business for many years to come, that your coal companies and your miners don't get all excited about their jobs, and then should a radical left liberal become president, they end the business right away, and somebody's built a plant and spent hundreds of millions of dollars in building a plant, and the plant is going to be closed because a Democrat got in or a liberal got in. They're opposed to coal, and Republicans are very much for it. Clean coal. And we're going to give a guarantee that the business will not be terminated by the ups and downs of the world of politics. So should somebody come in to this very important office and say, oh, well, you spent hundreds of millions of dollars and you guys have given up your life because you want to be in coal, and then all of a sudden you don't have a life anymore because it's what you know the best. That's not going to happen. We're going to give a guarantee that it's not going to happen, so that if somebody comes in, they cannot change it at a whim. They cannot just going to go. They're going to have to go through hell to close you up. All right, so that's pretty good. We're going to give that in the form of a guarantee that we're writing on right now structurally and from a legal standpoint. So your investments are going to also be protected. And you're going to have no reason to be concerned about your future, your life, or your investment if you're a miner, as this great governor was a miner. Actually, he was one of the larger coal miners. He could fit up here very easily, you know, Big Jim. But he was a great success. But they were very, very tough on him, and he did a beautiful job with a beautiful product. Already under our leadership, the Department of Interior has approved the expansion of the Spring Creek mine in Montana, supporting 280 coal mining jobs and unlocking over 40 million tons of coal. And there's more to come. Spring Creek, big one. And there's more to come in the states of Wyoming, Alabama, Utah, North Dakota, and many others. West Virginia, I can't believe they didn't put West Virginia down. It's lucky I mentioned that, right? Can you imagine if I didn't mention West Virginia? I would have been in big trouble. They didn't mark it down here. It's good to have a president like that that can pick that up, right? You think Joe Biden would have picked that up? I don't think so. Gee, they didn't mention West Virginia. I don't think so. I don't think he'd be standing up here either. The value of untapped coal in our country is 100 times greater than the value of all the gold at Fort Knox. And we're going to unleash it and make America rich and powerful again. Under this order, I'm also directing Secretary Wright to use billions of dollars in federal funding to invest in the next generation of coal technology, which is an amazing technology in terms of getting the full potential of coal and also doing it a very clean, environmental way. Pound for pound, coal is the single most reliable, durable, secure, and powerful form of energy there is on Earth today. It's a big statement. You never hear those statements, you know. You've never heard that before from a politician, have you? Well, maybe from that politician, but not from not too many. But that's the way it is. I say it again. Pound for pound, coal is the single most reliable, durable, secure, and powerful form of energy. It's cheap, incredibly efficient, high density, and it's almost indestructible. You could drop a bomb on it, and it's going to be there for you to use the next day, which you can't say with any other form of energy. You're virtually indestructible. Most importantly, we have more of it here in America than anywhere else on Earth. We have more coal than any other country. You go to Australia, they have fantastic amounts of coal. You know who they sell it to? China. They sell it to China. They're nearby. They sell a lot of it to China. But we have more than anywhere else on Earth. We also have more liquid gold than anywhere on Earth. So we're really an energy behemoth, but we're unleashing that also. That's going to be another part. But I didn't even want to mention that. It's not down here because I didn't want to mention today is about clean, beautiful coal. So I'm going to give this to you. This big guy. Should I give it to him? Yeah. You take that.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay. For example, we believe it's possible to extract enormous amounts of critical minerals and rare earths, which you know we need for technology and high technology in the process of coal mining, making in America the mineral superpower of the world, actually. In addition, I'm instructing the Department of Justice to identify and fight every single unconstitutional state or local regulation that's putting our coal miners out of business. And we are withdrawing all of those objections from our government today. It's all being withdrawn. So all of you people that have been fighting for your lives, we are withdrawing all of that today. We have excellent lawyers, excellent. Have you noticed that lots of law firms have been signing up with Trump? $100 million, another $100 million for damages that they've done. But they give you $100 million and then they announce that, but we have done nothing wrong. And I agree, they've done nothing wrong. But what the hell? They give me a lot of money considering they've done nothing wrong. And we'll use some of those people, some of those great firms. They are great firms, too. They just had a bad moment. But we're going to use some of those firms to work with you on your leasing and your other things. And they'll do a great job. I think they're going to do a fantastic job.
OK, so President Trump there signing an executive order to unleash US energy, of course, all about US coal, etc. So there we go. Well, in a start slightly later than planned, I think this is a massive story that affects all of us right here in Britain. Has the Labour Party betrayed the Pakistani rape gang victims and survivors in the most sinister way? GBNews' Charlie Peters revealed that rape gangs had operated in at least 50 towns right across the country. When Labour lost control of Oldham Council, councillors requested a full inquiry into the grooming gang scandal so they could out everyone who was complicit in it and a subsequent alleged cover-up. This letter from Jess Phillips was leaked refusing that inquiry, which then sparked quite a bit of outrage. Both the Tories and Reform then called for a full national inquiry.
Let us have the truth.
He won't listen to the victims who are calling for a national inquiry.
What we need and what we're calling for is a rifle shot inquiry, one that looks specifically at to what extent were gangs of Pakistani men raping young white girls.
The Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, then accused people of jumping on a far-right bandwagon.
And when politicians, and I mean politicians, who sat in government for many years, are casual about honesty, decency, truth and the rule of law, calling for inquiries because they want to jump on a bandwagon of the far right.
Well, the noises didn't go away. And eventually, Labour MPs Sarah Champion in Rotherham, Paul Waugh in Rochdale, Dan Carden of Liverpool Walden, they called for an inquiry, as well as the Mayor of Greater Manchester, Andy Burnham. So in January, Home Secretary Yvette Cooper buckled under the pressure.
Effective local inquiries can delve into far more local detail and deliver more locally relevant answers and change than a lengthy nationwide inquiry can provide. So Tom Crowther, KC, chair of the Telford inquiry, has agreed to work with the government to develop a new framework for victim-centred, locally led inquiries where they are needed, and as a first step, to work with Oldham Council and up to 4 other pilot areas.
OK, so you heard what she announced there, and that meant that it all went away for a bit. OK, so the press went quiet because it looked like Labour had a sincere plan to try to move this along and get some form of justice. But really what had happened is they'd bought themselves a bit of time. Then in February, so just a month after those 5 local inquiries were called, the barrister they put in charge of setting the framework for those inquiries, Tom Crowther, KC, who you heard mentioned there, revealed that he had to text a government official saying, "Do you still want me?" Which made it look a bit like Labour had never actually intended to have these inquiries. But we were reassured, oh, no, everything's fine, it's all still going ahead. And then today, Jess Phillips, the Safeguarding Minister, did this.
Will set out the process through which local authorities can access the £5 million national fund to support locally led work on grooming gangs. Following feedback from local authorities, the fund will adopt a flexible approach to support both full independent local inquiries and more bespoke work.
OK, so the day before MPs disappear for 2 weeks to enjoy their Easter holidays, Jess Phillips looks to have pulled the rug on what Yvette Cooper announced earlier in terms of those inquiries. Well, I think that they tried to hide today's announcement, but one Tory MP, Katie Lamb, noticed, legged it into the Commons and gave Jess Phillips and co a piece of her mind.
Over 3 months since the government announced these local inquiries, Tom Crowther, KC, a barrister invited by the Home Office to help establish them, knows almost nothing about their progress, and neither do we. Why is the framework for local inquiries now being led by ministers rather than by independent voices such as Tom Crowther? Why is the £5 million set aside for inquiries no longer being allocated but instead delivered on an opt-in basis? And what does the government intend to do about local leaders who say there is no need for an independent inquiry, like in Bradford or in Wales?
So it looks like the Oldham inquiry will go ahead and the others might not. This means that local officials who may have been involved in the Pakistani rape gang epidemic or the alleged subsequent cover-ups might not face the full force of an inquiry. Instead, there'll be locally led work, whatever that means. Now, when someone shows you their true colours, maybe you should just believe them, because Keir Starmer said, it appears anyway, that the grooming gang was a far-right bandwagon. Labour initially rejected an inquiry. They only said there'd be one, in my opinion, to shut the media up and shut the public up. Now, I don't think they ever really intended to have these inquiries, do you? And now they've ditched 4 out of 5 of them. And they tried to do it quietly. Keir Starmer has defended his record on grooming gangs on numerous occasions. Well, I would argue that he had his chance to prove it here, and it looks as though he's swerved it. This is an absolutely astonishing state of affairs that frankly beggars belief. I honestly think that this should be the terminal blow for Keir Starmer, Jess Phillips and Yvette Cooper's Labour Party. A Home Office spokesperson has issued a very strongly worded statement in response. They said, This is patently false. The £5 million funding announced in January is being made available to local authorities to help strengthen local responses to child sexual exploitation, and all local authorities will be able to apply for funding for their local inquiries or other work in this area. The Home Secretary has written to every local authority on our plans to support local inquiries, and after listening to local authorities about what they need, we made the decision to implement the fund in a flexible way. Some people have criticised that and said, well, that might mean that local authorities now have the decision about whether or not they want to investigate themselves, which, given some of the aforementioned issues there, seems unlikely. Is this a massive betrayal of grooming gang victims and survivors by the Labour Party? Let's get the thoughts of my panel. We've got columnist and broadcaster Esther Krakow. We have political commentator and GBNews presenter Alex Armstrong and journalist Jonathan Liss. Alex, I'll come to you first on this. I mean, this, to me, seems like a massive backtrack from Labour that was an attempt at being hidden as well. You know, just hours before they broke up for recess, wanted to try and sneak it through.
Yeah, it's an absolute disgrace is what it is, Patrick. This is the most shameful U-turn yet, in my opinion. And I'm just... 45 minutes notice, apparently, that was given to Parliament to attend this debate. Obviously, the benches opposite were relatively empty. That's there to make the opposition look bad, even though that was a terrible use of scrutiny, because all ministers need scrutiny on their policies, and clearly they were trying to dodge that. So well done to Katie Lamb MP for showing up for that. But the reality is even reading that Home Office spokesperson's statement, it's quite clear they're saying they're not doing local inquiries. They're saying local, as you said, locally funded support. That's not the same thing. And quite frankly, the 5 local inquiries weren't good enough in the first place. We needed a national inquiry. Now, that was already turned down. And this is shameless, Patrick. One day before recess, so they know they can't be held accountable. How utterly cowardly.
Imagine if this was the Tories. Imagine if this was the Tory party and Labour was able to beat them with this big stick about the fact that they were reluctant to investigate such a serious issue in this country, and they pulled this stunt. But even more, other than the whataboutery, what exactly do they expect people to do with this? Oh, we have a flexible fund, and if councils want to mark their own homework and make their own friends and other co-councillors accountable, they may be able to do that. It's a complete disgrace. These are the same politicians, by the way, that were happy to do all that theatre February last year in Parliament over a vote in Gaza, and yet not a single MP has ever stormed out of Westminster or done any sort of similar theatre or rolled on the floor crying and screaming, wailing for the gods to save them over these underage girls being systemically gang raped and brutalised by these men. That's what's clear.
We've just had Parliament devote quite a bit of time to adolescence, haven't we? We've had Keir Starmer do an adolescence roundtable.
Treating it like a documentary.
We're going to have adolescence shown in any school that wants to show it. All of this stuff. We need to clamp down on the scourge of misogyny. By the way, we do need to clamp down on misogyny. I'm not trying to minimise that. But what I am saying is here was a tremendous opportunity to do what they said they would do and have at least 5 in-depth inquiries into predominantly Pakistani rape.
And clamp down on that misogyny. That misogyny doesn't matter, apparently.
I mean, Jonathan, how would you respond to that?
Well, the first thing to say is that there was a national inquiry already, and the last government that Esther was talking about didn't implement any.
There wasn't a national inquiry into grooming gangs.
Well, it was included in the framework of that inquiry. It wasn't exclusively about that. It was literally 2 lines.
It was literally 2 lines. I read it. I read the report you're referring to, by the way. It didn't even fill up half a page.
All right, let's Jonathan in, because, you know, Labour... By the way, I'm at pains to stress, Labour sent a message out earlier on that said that they did give more than 45 minutes notice and all of this stuff. So that's...
Might have been an hour.
But Jonathan, yeah.
OK. So there was a national inquiry, and the problem with people, it slightly amused me that people kept on calling for a national inquiry, because those are the same people who normally hate what national inquiries do and then don't implement any of the results of national inquiries. And national inquiries, by the way, are a fantastic way of kicking an issue into the long grass. They take years and years to do, by which time the news agenda is passed on. So that's why they said they focus on the local inquiries. And the thing with the local inquiries is, and look, I am not inside Jess Phillips's head. I don't know what's going on, but I am prepared to give the government a good faith, take them in good faith. Can I just
correct the misinformation? There was no national inquiry into this. There was a national inquiry into safeguarding children, and the excerpt about the rape gangs was half a page. So to insult this country's intelligence by saying actually there was a national inquiry into this, that's not true. Secondly, yes, inquiries do take a long time, and there's usually no teeth behind it. 1, they need to expedite this, and 2, people that need to be brought to justice, it needs to happen ASAP. That's the difference.
There's going to be a massive issue for Labour going forward here, because this absolutely blew up over Christmas and January, and it was not going away. It was getting on front page after front page. We were hammering it here at GBNews. We were desperate to try to get justice, finally, for the tens of thousands of predominantly young, working-class white girls who've been systematically abused on an industrial scale by predominantly Pakistani men. We were desperate to do that. And then Labour, it appears, bought people off by saying, OK, no, look here, finally, this is what we'll do. We'll have these 5 local ones. And then now, just hours before they all disappear for 2 weeks for their Easter holidays, they go, oh, sorry, no, we're not doing that. I just find, how can anyone trust anything they say going forward?
No, they're cowards, Patrick. They are cowards. This act should expose them for that. The fact that they've done this the day before recess and they did it right before the end of play of Parliament shows you the intent. If they really wanted to be scrutinised on this massive, massive U-turn that they only had those inquiries in the first place to appease the public outrage, if they really wanted the scrutiny, they give Parliament the time to do it. They did not want the scrutiny, and the ministers should be held accountable for that.
2 questions here, Jonathan. Can we trust anything that Labour say going forward? And secondly, are they playing politics with the lives of rape gang survivors?
Well, look, I certainly hope that is not happening. And if we take Jess Phillips at her word, which I'm happy to do in this case, then this money is being made flexible. They're not reducing the funding or taking it away. They're making it sort of more optional.
They're
sort of like an
reducing the accountability of those politicians to be held to account by the authorities. Let's not deduct that there are people in authority who need to be held accountable, and they are not going to be held accountable.
But why is it any different today from what it was
yesterday? Because they're getting resources to help the victims, not to hold accountable the authorities that failed them.
If it was your family member, if it was your sister, and she had been a grooming gang victim, would you appreciate it if the government told you, actually, the council responsible for safeguarding your sister has the option to not investigate? Would you be OK with that?
Esther,
that's what we're talking about here.
Well, actually...
No, but that's the point.
Esther, a lot of victims actually didn't want a national inquiry, and they said they already had the inquiries, and it was now up to people...
I'm talking about a local inquiry.
And they said a lot of people saying, you know, were saying when this debate was happening a couple of months ago, that we didn't need any more inquiries. We just needed to implement the decisions.
You are wrong on this one. You are absolutely wrong. The public will think you are wrong on this one.
I'm not saying there should be inquiries. I'm literally stating the fact that not all survivors were unanimous in whether we needed more inquiries. But Esther was asking me what I thought if it was my sister. I'm just pointing out there are victims who didn't want any inquiries.
If a young girl was raped, brutally gang raped and abused, I think the least this country could do after systemically failing to protect her, the least they could do was to launch an inquiry and bring those responsible to justice. That's all I think.
It's also just about how do you misread the public mood. They must have got the public mood to begin with, Labour, because it was all over the front pages. It was a battering ram. And then eventually several Labour MPs decided to actually call for it, and Andy Burnham, the Mayor of Greater Manchester, called for some form of inquiry anyway. And then eventually Yvette Cooper buckled. So they must have got that. They must have understood the strength of feeling behind it. So they must understand the strength of feeling behind this, and yet they're choosing to do it. And, you know, it does make me wonder, what are they so afraid of? What is it that they're so afraid of?
Hold on. What possible incentive could you have to make an inquiry into something, a local inquiry into something so vile and heinous, optional? Why would it even cross your mind to say, actually, let's have the option to not do it? What kind of sick individual does that?
I wonder if it's about compensation, you know. I wonder if it's about the possibility that if people end up going through a massive inquiry, that they are, like has happened in numerous other different inquiries, by the way, ultimately going to be awarded some form of compensation, and they feel as though that the sheer level of compensation they would have to pay potentially would bankrupt everyone.
I think you're right. I think you're right, but I think they're worried about that. Plus, because let's face it, it's come out of government pocket and there's no money left in government, as we know, the headroom's gone. But also, where are the councils this is happening in? What political leniencies are in those councils? And I can guarantee you this would be a wipeout for that political party. I don't have to mention that party's name because everyone who's watching knows where this is going on. And that party, unfortunately, would suffer severe consequences by the next election when these reports start coming out about what has been going on there. And I tell you now, that would be extremely damaging.
How do you genuinely feel about it, Jonathan? In your heart of hearts, I'm
not lying to you about how I feel about it, Patrick.
No, I'm asking you genuinely. If it was you there who was Prime Minister or you were Jess Phillips or whatever, do you think you would have just gone ahead with what Yvette Cooper had said?
Look, I think we have to also just zoom out a bit and point out that this was not a political issue at the last election. Not to say that it's not serious, but this idea that somehow beastly Labour is sort of conspiring against the will of the British people, where the Conservatives had nothing to say about this, the last election, and Reform, they did mention it in their manifesto fine, but they were not calling for a national inquiry or separate local inquiries either. This is an issue that has developed in the last couple of months. All parties are responding to it. It's also not based on any kind of new information. It's based on a historic crime.
What's happened, Jonathan, is that the Prime Minister has moved on. He's seen adolescence. He's gone, right, that's how we're going to tackle misogyny. That's how we're going to solve the rape gangs. We're going to play that like a documentary in kids' schools, and we're going to demonise white working-class lads over communities that are perpetrating terrible, terrible crimes in this country.
This is not a racial issue.
Well, unfortunately, it is. It is. As Katie Lamb said today, they are predominantly Pakistani rape gangs, and we cannot escape the truth of that. We have to face up to the reality, because if we keep on hiding from it, we are going to perpetuate the same thing.
I tell you, we should have an inquiry about the epidemic of sexual violence that happens in this country all the time, and that it's not a racial issue. And you know there are.
But this is an isolated issue that has been replicated up and down the country,
Why? Look, I'm not.
It needs to be addressed for us to move forward as a country.
I'm not downplaying this crime at all, but there is a vastly skewed emphasis on this particular aspect of child sexual violence compared to all the other kinds.
Because it's so heinous, and because it would never happen in any other country. You would never hear the kinds of defences that you're hearing from you if these were Pakistani girls in Lahore who were being systemically raped by white British men from South Shields. That's the reason why.
I'm not
because
defending
the world
anything.
cannot. No, but the thing is, if this was somewhere else, everything that you're saying right now, that would even be a conversation anywhere else. Literally, not a single person will stand up and say, "But what about this atrocity? And what about that?" Like, no.
I'm not using whataboutism either. I'm not saying it's not serious. I'm saying
the reason why this is such a big deal. The reason why this is such a big deal is because we believe, many people believe, and there's been evidence to support that authorities who are elected people who we pay council our taxes to, who are involved in a cover-up at the highest degree. How can people trust the government? How can people trust to have wider inquiries into sexual abuse if they can't trust the people who are elected to do it?
Well, how could you even trust the government appointing a KC to go through that?
If you don't trust the government. Start somewhere.
Come on, you have to have some level of trust somewhere.
An independent person away from councils would be a start.
All right, look, I am at pains to stress again that Labour are adamant that this is not a betrayal, this is not a complete, total rowback on it. They are saying that hopefully that the girls can still get justice and all of that. I mean, we've obviously...
Yeah, they just have to go to France and come across back on a boat.
We've had a robust discussion about it here, so people can make their own minds up about all of that. Earlier on today, I decided to go to Birmingham to have a little look at it. Rubbish on a fence. Rat bag. Rubble. A fridge. Who that guy is?
No. Who's it?
Yes, I went there today because the city is overrun by rats. Essentially, Britain's second city is now a ginormous biohazard. Meanwhile, one Birmingham Labour MP, Tahir Ali, is desperate, and I mean desperate, to have a brand spanking new airport in Pakistan. I actually went to his constituency earlier today, and it's interesting to see what people have to say about him. But first, the Prime Minister is not ruling out retaliatory tariffs amid a global market meltdown triggered, of course, by President Trump. I will just slightly say that the markets did rally earlier on, but there we go. Is this really the right approach? That's next.
I hope it doesn't rain.
Don't worry about it.
It'll spoil our holiday.
Relax, we're totally covered.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GBNews travel destinations forecast.
A cold spell will affect eastern parts of Europe this week. Some areas could see temperatures 10 degrees below average. Rather showery at times across Madeira and Tenerife, with longer spells of rain later through the day. Largely dry, though, across Spain and Portugal, just perhaps the odd shower affecting Nice, Rome, Sardinia, and perhaps some shorelines of Greece. But otherwise largely settled, lots of sunshine around, but temperatures in the mid-teens. But we'll see more sunshine as we head through the week. Still rather showery across Tenerife, but temperatures improving to the mid to high teens by the time we reach Saturday.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GBNews travel destinations forecast.
Good evening. Here's your Met Office weather update for GB News. Whilst there will be a little bit of rain pushing into the far north by Friday, before then we have plenty of fine, dry weather to come. That's because high pressure is over the UK at the moment and it's not going anywhere particularly fast, so we're going to stick with this settled theme. Lots of sunny weather, lots of clear skies as we go through this evening and overnight. That being said, though, across northern parts of Scotland, some cloud feeding in overnight, and down the eastern side of Scotland and also eastern England, some clouds, some low clouds, some misty murkiness, bit of fog feeding in from the North Sea. Further west, where we have clearer skies, again, it's going to be a bit of a chilly night, a touch of frost quite likely, particularly in prone rural spots. As we go through tomorrow morning, then a bit of a westy split when it comes to clouds amounts. Across the west, Wales, western parts of England, lots of fine sunny weather, but further east, a cloudier story. Similar story further north, Northern Ireland, western parts of Scotland and northwest England, lots of bright sunny weather to be had early on, but in the east it is going to be pretty grey, some low cloud around, some mist, some fog. Most of that is, though, going to burn away as we go through the day. Not all of it. Across some eastern coastal parts, particularly of England, but perhaps the southeast of Scotland too. Here, some of that cloud's going to be pretty nagging and linger through much of the day. And so feeling pretty cool with a bit of a breeze as well. But elsewhere, where we see a good deal of sunshine, it is going to feel relatively warm. Temperatures peaking in the mid to high teens Celsius. As we look into Thursday, and a change in our wind direction changes, well, where we see the clouds. So a bit more cloud across central southeastern parts of England, but further north across eastern parts of Scotland, northeast England, much less cloud than we'll see on Wednesday. And with that change in wind direction, we're going to see things turning much warmer in those parts as well. Low 20s looks quite likely. Otherwise, and as we go into the weekend, well, sunny for most, but a bit of rain in the north.
The royal family is an enduring symbol of tradition, unity and pride for Britain. At GB News, we celebrate what makes this country great. In our new royal newsletter series, you can join me, Cameron Walker, for Inside the Palace, an exclusive look every week that takes you beyond the gates and brings you the very latest from those at the heart of the monarchy. Never miss a royal moment again. Sign up now. Go to gbnews.com/royal newsletter and get the latest straight to your inbox.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Welcome back to Patrick Christys tonight. Well, I've got a lot coming up. So, an astonishing dispatch from Birmingham, the city that's overrun by rubbish and rats. I went to pay a visit to the Justice Secretary's seat and also the seat of Tahir Ali, who is obsessed with building an international airport in Mirpur, Pakistan. So I wanted to go and find out what their own constituencies were like at the moment, and it will not make pretty viewing for them. Also, in other news, frankly, an armada crossed the English Channel today, didn't it? Several hundred illegal migrants escorted by the French. What on earth is going on? And it turns out as well that one bloke who did manage to cross the Channel has been arrested for supporting ISIS. So that's a bit of a problem, isn't it? But first, the fallout from President Trump's tariffs continued today. Markets did manage to stabilise after a couple of days of losses, but the US president reassured Americans that a deal with China will happen, despite the White House Treasury Secretary calling their retaliatory levies a, quote, big mistake. But how does this all affect us here in Britain? Here in the UK, the Prime Minister was quizzed about any potential retaliation in Parliament today.
What's happened in the last few days, last week or so, is obviously very challenging for us and very challenging around the world. And I'm very disappointed to see tariffs in place. We have to keep our options on the table and do the preparatory work for retaliation if necessary. But I think that trying to negotiate an arrangement which mitigates the tariffs is better.
Well, joining me now to pick through this at times very complicated noise is entrepreneur and podcast host Rob Moore. Rob, great to see you. OK, first things first, is Trump doing the right thing? Is this a genius move?
Well, it's good for America, isn't it? Obviously, his America First regime. You have to be careful. We need international trade, obviously, and we're kind of interdependent now. And he's come in and he's putting his fists on the desk, and he's throwing his weight around, and it's kind of classic Trump negotiation stance. I think he wants to negotiate. I think he respects negotiations. But it doesn't feel like it's good for the world. It just feels like it's good for America.
Yeah, which, again, I think as you were saying there, if I was American, that's probably all I would care about, really, to an extent. But what do you make now of Starmer and Rachel Reeves' response? Earlier today, again in Parliament, Rachel Reeves says, look, we understand that this is going to be daunting for families. We have your back. And I'll be perfectly honest with you, what I heard there, Rob, was that me and you and possibly most people we know are going to end up paying a lot more tax.
Yeah, well, it doesn't look good for us. That being said, I don't think we need to rush into retaliations like the EU have and like China are. I definitely don't think it's good for this country to have a trade war. We rely on America for a lot of things. Our economy is shot to bits. But if you look at Keir Starmer's response, it's all quite vanilla and milky and vague. There's no strength, no leadership. Doesn't demand any kind of respect. And I imagine the Americans are looking, just thinking that they can just walk all over us.
So, do you think that Keir Starmer is giving the impression genuinely to the Americans and to Trump that he can walk all over us? I mean, if we don't want to see retaliatory tariffs, I mean, what is the alternative, really?
Well, I mean, he can negotiate for some exemptions, of course, which I think he's going to try and do. I think he's sent over the business secretary already. And, you know, we are the smaller nation, and Trump is a kind of like a dominant leader. You know, America's the dog, we're the tail. So I don't think it's smart to just go and retaliate, you know, with tariffs in response. I think it is smart to go and try and negotiate. And, you know, these things take time, and you probably don't want to be showing your hand on live national TV.
Well, you say that, but we are currently looking at live shots from the White House of Trump signing yet another executive order, this time unleashing US energy. He's going full drill, baby, drill, dig, baby, dig, burn, baby, burn when it comes to coal and anything you can possibly get some kind of tune out of. Meanwhile, over here, the Prime Minister today confirmed a 2030 ban on the sale of new petrol and diesel cars, but said that there'd be some changes to regulations to help firms transition. I mean, there is a marked difference, is there not, between the leader of the United States and the kind of tinkering around the edges that our Prime Minister appears to be doing?
Yeah, he seems quite bumbly, quite neutral, doesn't really seem to have any clear stance. I mean, you know, one of the biggest scams in the last decade for the British people is how high energy prices are. And, you know, there's an argument to say, well, maybe the UK could look at putting Britain first, and maybe we can start improving our own internal production and industry. Because most people now, what they're paying for their electric, it's unaffordable for most people. So I think I'd probably rather be in America and an American looking at what Donald Trump's doing for their economy than Keir Starmer here in the UK.
Well, again, a lot of the people who are speaking out against Trump and have historically spoken out against Trump, some Labour big hitters, it's difficult, I think, for them now to claim that they genuinely care hugely about Britain and Britain's interests. Earlier today, Rob, I went to Birmingham, and we're going to be showing some absolutely bombshell footage of this later on. But I went to the constituency of Shabana Mahmood, who's our Justice Minister, and to Tahir Ali, who's the Labour MP. He is famous for his interventions in the House of Commons, which have included things like calling for a blasphemy law in Britain, saying that Rishi Sunak has blood on his hands over Gaza, several more interventions on Gaza, and then most recently building an airport in Mirpur in Pakistan. Well, I went to his constituency. I was confronted by a huge amount of people who did not speak a word of English. There was rubbish absolutely everywhere. I mean, it was putrid and vile. And I do wonder whether or not the Labour Party currently has a leg to stand on when it comes to claiming, we've got your back, Britain. We've got your back. Because it didn't look like that today in Birmingham, Rob.
Well, I'm from Peterborough, and it's not much different. So, yeah, what's our identity? What's our values? What's our culture? What's great about Great Britain? You know, where's our strength? It all seems to have gone. And, you know, we have this Prime Minister who isn't a strong leader that can maybe bring us back to our true values. And, yeah, we're just homogenized. And in America, they have patriotism. And I know some people think that Donald Trump is extreme, but he is the President of the United States. Keir Starmer is the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. The kingdom is not united, and Britain is not great.
I saw lining the streets today, lining the streets in various different parts of Birmingham that I went to, Palestinian flags from every lamppost, Palestinian flags in people's front rooms, Palestinian flags even attached to the side of cars. I saw Lebanese flags, I saw Egyptian flags, I saw all sorts of flags. I never once saw a Union Jack. I never once saw a Union Jack. And as I walked around and I heard what appeared to be every single other language in the world spoken, you know, just all around me, and rubbish piling high, I did wonder, Rob, whether or not we can genuinely say that we felt enriched.
OK, I mean, I didn't go to Birmingham with you. I can't comment. You know, there's a balance, isn't there? We've been a great nation for bringing in immigrants who've turned their life around, created great jobs and contributed to the economy. And I don't think that should stop. But clearly, we're just letting anyone in. We're not asking them to work. They're getting in the queue before our own people, you know, for things like the NHS and housing. And there has to be a fair balance. And I think they have to come, add value, contribute, work, grow the economy. Like an employee, if an employee came to your company and they didn't offer any value, you'd move them on to another company.
Absolutely. Well, Rob, thank you very, very much. Certainly will not be moving you on anytime soon. Tremendous to have you on the show. The wonderful Rob Moore there. Earlier on in Birmingham, there's a little clip of it here. Oh, I mean, I'm trying not to be dramatic here, but the smell is absolutely overpowering, I'm afraid. There's flies everywhere.
A positive outlook through the night will power through to a bright day ahead. Boxed Home Battery Storage, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Good evening. Here's your Met Office weather update for GB News. Whilst there will be a little bit of rain pushing into the far north by Friday, before then we have plenty of fine, dry weather to come. That's because high pressure is over the UK at the moment and it's not going anywhere particularly fast, so we're going to stick with this settled theme. Lots of sunny weather, lots of clear skies as we go through this evening and overnight. That being said, though, across northern parts of Scotland, some cloud feeding in overnight, and down the eastern side of Scotland and also eastern England, some clouds, some low clouds, some misty murkiness, bit of fog feeding in from the North Sea. Further west, where we have clearer skies, again, it's going to be a bit of a chilly night, a touch of frost quite likely, particularly in prone rural spots. As we go through tomorrow morning, then a bit of a westy split when it comes to clouds amounts. Across the west, Wales, western parts of England, lots of fine sunny weather, but further east, a cloudier story. Similar story further north, Northern Ireland, western parts of Scotland and northwest England, lots of bright sunny weather to be had early on, but in the east it is going to be pretty grey, some low cloud around, some mist, some fog. Most of that is, though, going to burn away as we go through the day. Not all of it. Across some eastern coastal parts, particularly of England, but perhaps the southeast of Scotland too. Here, some of that cloud's going to be pretty nagging and linger through much of the day. And so feeling pretty cool with a bit of a breeze as well. But elsewhere, where we see a good deal of sunshine, it is going to feel relatively warm. Temperatures peaking in the mid to high teens Celsius. As we look into Thursday, and a change in our wind direction changes, well, where we see the clouds. So a bit more cloud across central southeastern parts of England, but further north across eastern parts of Scotland, northeast England, much less cloud than we'll see on Wednesday. And with that change in wind direction, we're going to see things turning much warmer in those parts as well. Low 20s looks quite likely. Otherwise, and as we go into the weekend, well, sunny for most, but a bit of rain in the north.
A positive outlook through the night will power through to a bright day ahead. Boxed Home Battery Storage, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Courtesy of Marquis Leisure, you could be driving away with this brand new Elnag Baron 560 motorhome. It comfortably sleeps 4, comes with sky roof, integrated kitchen and bathroom, and is worth over £67,000. And that's not all, as we'll also give you a further £5,000 in tax-free cash to make sure that wherever this motorhome takes you, it takes you there in style. For a chance to win a motorhome and cash, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus 1 standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB13 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 6th of June. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel. And as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/yoursay. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
It's 10 p.m. I'm Patrick Christys. Tonight,
I shared on social media the work I and colleagues across the two houses have been doing to urge the government of Pakistan to build an international airport at Mirpur.
Labour MP Tahir Ali is obsessed with an international airport in Pakistan. Well, today I went to his constituency. Fish on a fence. Rat bag. Rubble. A fridge. Who that guy is?
No. Who's it?
Yeah, but it's not as bad as Justice Minister Shabana Mahmood.
Oh, I mean, I'm trying not to be dramatic here, but the smell is absolutely overpowering, I'm afraid. Flies everywhere.
Also tonight... Today, an armada of illegal immigrants invaded Britain across the Channel, plus... Prince Harry turned up to court, but was he deliberately trying to upstage this? The King and Queen Camilla doing their royal duty in Italy. Also tonight, what's so special, please, about these little guys? On my panel tonight is broadcaster and columnist Esther Krakow, GB News presenter Alex Armstrong and journalist Jonathan Liss. Oh, and Celebrity Big Brother got off to a flying start.
Stop looking at me! It's everything to get into my mouth!
Grief. Get ready, Britain, here we go. Tahir Ali can forget about his airport in Pakistan. He can't even take the bins out here. Next.
Very good evening to you. It's just after 10 o'clock. Leading the news tonight, a teenage boy has been found guilty of killing 8-year-old Bim Coley in an unprovoked and racially charged attack while he walked his dog in Leicestershire. Police say the boy, now 15 years old, was driven by a thirst for social media notoriety and had a violent online persona. His younger female friend filmed the assault and was also convicted of manslaughter. Detectives say the brutality and racist abuse left the local community traumatised. Miss Coley's loved ones say they've now lost a much-loved pillar of their community. The government's been accused of watering down grooming gang inquiries despite announcing a new National Child Protection Authority. It's one of 20 key recommendations from the independent inquiry into child sexual abuse back in 2022. But there is anger that a promised timetable and 5 local reviews still haven't materialised. Jess Phillips says work to expand the authority will begin immediately, but critics say victims are being failed yet again. The Home Office has, though, pledged new funding, tougher laws and a mandatory duty to report abuse. The number of migrants crossing the Channel has jumped 33%, with over 7,200 arrivals so far this year. People in life jackets were brought ashore by Border Force and lifeboats in Dover today. The Coast Guard says its aircraft and vessels coordinated the latest response. Eritreans now make up the largest group making that journey, 3 times more than last year. The Tories say the Labour government, though, has lost control of our borders, but ministers insist they are cracking down on the smuggling gangs behind the crossings. Donald Trump has tonight praised his explosive tariffs just hours before the United States is set to impose over 100% levies on some Chinese goods. Speaking in the White House earlier tonight, he claimed the measures are bringing in $2 billion a day and says that countries are lining up to negotiate. Tariffs on 60 of what he calls the worst offending nations are also due to come into effect tonight. Trump says industry bosses want to build in the US to avoid future charges, but he hasn't addressed market fears or political criticism. US stocks, though, have bounced back after a rocky few days, but analysts warn confidence remains fragile. Talks to end Birmingham's bin strike have been called productive, but no deals have been done so far. Claire Keogh says that members are angry that Birmingham City Council had failed to surrender in the dispute. Unite members walked out last month, leaving rubbish piling up and prompting the council there to declare a major incident. Health Secretary Wes Streeting says vermin are now crawling around the streets and the situation is totally unacceptable. He's urged the union to stop blocking bin lorries and let crews clean up. And the government says that nationalising British Steel is now on the table as fears grow that blast furnaces in Scunthorpe could run out of raw materials within just days. The Chancellor has spoken to unions, saying she's aware of the industry's strategic importance and would step in if needed. Jinji, the Chinese firm that owns the company, has rejected a £500 million support package and it says it's losing £700,000 a day. The site supports 2,700 jobs, but the order for iron ore cancelled now means that MPs say it's a race against time. Nigel Farage also claims there are 3 days to save British Steel and wants it taken into public ownership. That's the news on GB News. Plenty more still to come right here with Patrick.
Good evening. The Labour Party appears to have turned Birmingham into a putrid biohazard. There is an ongoing bin strike that has left the city looking like a giant rubbish dump. The council is getting stick, the unions are getting stick, but what on earth are the local MPs doing? So today, I went to Birmingham to see what people think of their local MPs.
To Alum Rock in Birmingham. Let me set the scene for you. You can see that there's kebab houses, halal butchers there, Palestinian flags everywhere, trust in Allah, give zakat signs. Hello and welcome to Tahir Ali's constituency, an MP famous for calling for blasphemy laws in Britain, saying Rishi Sunak had blood on his hands over Gaza, and more recently demanding the construction of an international airport in Mirpur, Pakistan. Shall we have a look around? A warning about the amount of rats in the area. Meanwhile, rubbish on a fence. Rat bag. Full bin, absolutely stinks. Full bin, full bin. Come around here. Just full bin. More rubbish in the road. Leaking bin everywhere. I mean, this is just festering in the heat. It's putrid. Let's have a look here. Look at this. It's everywhere you look. Come here, follow me. Massive skip full of rubble. Nails sticking out of it. Yeah, not nice. What do you make of all this rubbish everywhere, mate?
Well, it's terrible. I've got a business around the corner. I had a mountain 5 times bigger than that. The council himself came to move everything. But yeah, I've got rid of the council bins now.
Right.
And now I've got a private company.
You know who that guy is?
No. Who is it?
That's Tahir Ali. That's the local MP for here. He was in Parliament.
It's good in a suit, but can you do the job?
Yesterday he was in Parliament calling for the construction of a new international airport in Mirpur in Pakistan.
What's that got to do with us?
What was that?
It's got nothing to do with us.
No.
We've got problems here.
Sorry to bother you. Can I ask, have you seen this man? No. Have you seen this man?
No.
Not at all, no. Never. You guys, can I ask, have you ever seen this man?
No. Sorry.
No?
No.
Sorry. So have you ever seen this guy? Never?
I haven't seen him.
Any ideas who he might be?
I have no idea.
No idea? No. OK, thank you. Do you know this man?
I'm from Sorry, I don't live here, thank you.
You don't live here? You don't know who this guy is, then?
No, I don't, sorry.
So we started by having a look at some of the back roads of Spark Hill, Tahir Ali's constituency. As you can see now, we've made our way to the bustling high street. Let's have a look at this. Bricks everywhere, shards of glass. I think that might have been a freezer. Thank you. Hello. Let's work our way along. More rubble, a fridge. Maybe once used to stand alongside that freezer, and an overflowing biffer bin. Let's come on round because, oh wait, there's more. Bin. Shopping trolley. So that is Tahir Ali's constituency there in Birmingham. Clearly overflowing with putrid rubbish. The locals there either didn't know who he is, as far as I could tell, or certainly did not care that much about the idea of a brand new international airport in Mirpur. But a little earlier on in the days, you got a sneak preview from I went to Alum Rock in Birmingham, and I had a wander around there as well. Interesting takes here from the local population. Let's see what you make of this. Welcome to Alum Rock in Birmingham. Let me set the scene for you. You can see that there's kebab houses, halal butchers there, Palestinian flags everywhere. Trust in Allah, give zakat signs. We've got the Pak pharmacy, a bit of hustle and bustle there from the Pakistani food outlet. It's an interesting microcosm here in Alum Rock, because just around this local area you have several Labour high flyers. You've got Liam Byrne, you've got Shabana Mahmood, the Justice Secretary, you've got Jess Phillips, you've got Tahir Ali as well. Tahir Ali, of course, the MP who has recently been speaking in the House of Commons about the need for an airport in Mirpur, Pakistan. But right here, closer to home, well, this is one of the epicentres of Birmingham's bin strike. So let's try and take a little look, can we? Because the second that you turn off the main street, and sorry, thank you very much, the second that you turn off the main street here on Alum Rock, what you're greeted by is stuff like this. So unfortunately, there is piles and piles and piles of rubbish. You've got rotting food here that's been there for quite some time. To be honest with you, it's quite a good job that this isn't smell-o-vision, because it does smell absolutely horrendous. Just follow me through though, because that's bad enough, but that building there is a primary school, and if you follow me around here as well, this building here is a health centre. So just off the high street, sandwiched between a primary school and a health centre, is mounds and mounds and mounds of rubbish. And this, as you're about to see, is the same story down pretty much every single street in Birmingham.
Terrible. Birmingham City Council needs to sort it out. They're charging everyone council tax and everything, but they're not doing nothing. So they need to sort this issue out, pay the workers.
What do you make of it then, in terms of it being a health hazard for people?
It's bad, it smells, there's rodents and everything. So Birmingham City Council, our MPs and everyone, they need to look at this.
Do you know who the MP for this area is?
Yes, I know, Liam Bryan.
Yeah. What do you make of that? Because, you know, should he not be doing a bit more, do you think?
Well, to be honest, we never see him. We never see him. He's only around when he needs the votes. Anytime else, there's no one approaching him.
Did you vote for him last time?
I did, but never again.
No. Why not?
Look at this. He's never around. This area is hazard. So much crime, everything else, but no one's here to sort it out.
Look at this. Oh, I mean, I'm trying not to be dramatic here, but the smell is absolutely overpowering, I'm afraid. Flies everywhere. I mean, people have been so grief. We're going to have to move away from that. People have been saying they've been seeing rats. You just heard from a gentleman earlier on talking about the rats. People using this as well, it must be said, as an opportunity to just do wanton fly tipping. There's one thing about bins and rubbish and household waste. There's another thing to be just chucking mattresses about everywhere. This has clearly been here for a very, very long time. And what you might be able to see as well is what does appear to be bits that have been gnawed at. People mentioned about rats, didn't they? And I think it's quite clear that we can see some activity there. What do you make of what you're seeing on this road here? There's bins everywhere.
Absolutely terrible, mate. It's really terrible. It shouldn't be allowed. The politicians, the bins like this should be outside. The politicians see how they feel. We pay our poll taxes, we pay everything, and we seem to get the rough end of the stick all the time.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's pretty grim, obviously. What
You're lucky somebody's been round since yesterday. Somebody's been round, or there was mega block. You go around the top of there by the mosque and you see they piled up the rubbish in like mountains. Mountains. Okay. It's terrible, my friend.
And do you know who the local MP is here?
I don't know. It's supposed to be some Shabina geezer or girl or whatever.
Yeah.
So,
you don't see much of them?
No, you don't see them. They're just chilling. Their house is clean. They don't care about anybody else's, isn't it? It's not fair, is it? We're paying their bills.
So we were told by locals that this area here on St Saviour's Road, just outside one of the local mosques here, has become a little bit of a dumping ground for people. And you can see it. There's wheelie bins full over there. There's more bins here. And again, if you just look here, it looks as though there's gnaw marks in it. Rats, etc.
I'm sorry, I'm late. I'm going to...
OK. Do you speak English at all?
No, I can't.
Oh, OK, all right. Do you live around here?
Yeah.
And this is good, bad?
No, it's bad.
Bad?
It's bad, yeah. It can... you see... I said...
Okay.
Yeah.
Take care. Bye-bye. Thank you. Yeah, OK. But by far and away, the worst place that I visited today, in terms of lack of cleanliness and general putrid behaviour, was Shabana Mahmood's constituency, the Justice Minister, and I think we can show you a little bit of that now. This is the third location we've come to today. We are on Grove Cottage Road in Bordesley Green, and this is the constituency of Justice Minister Shabana Mahmood. Shall we have a little look around at what it looks like? Mattress here. You talk to me?
Yeah, I'll put mine here as well.
All right, OK, go on.
Disgusting.
Oh.
Absolutely disgusting.
You live here, I take it?
My parents live here.
Go on, talk to me for a sec. I mean, this is absolutely shocking. It's the worst one I've seen.
Yeah, it's terrible. I mean, we've got no choice but to put the rubbish there, because you can't get outside the house. No. You've got rats all around here as it is. And you ain't got just this here, you've got all the furniture as well. There used to be a sign up there saying £25,000 fines, but no one's got fined. No one gets fined round here.
This is the constituency of Shabana Mahmood. She's the Justice Secretary. She's got a very important job, one of the most important jobs in the country. And this is part of her constituency.
Yeah, I know. We've wrote loads of letters and stuff, and phoned in and stuff, but they just have these meetings and nothing gets done. Yeah, I've come over to visit my mum because she's old, and the bin bags are outside her house. She can't move them. She's too old, so I've had to bring it over here.
That's what you pay council tax for, to be fair, mate.
Have it outside your house like this. You got kids everywhere as well. I've seen a child down the road a few years back sitting on the floor. I've walked past and she's playing with a rat. And I've had to knock the door and tell her, Mum, your kid's playing with a rat. It's wrong.
There's no way that all of this has just been here in the last week. This has clearly been here for a very, very long time. You've got a headboard in there. Let's continue down. You've got kids' shoes here. Crayons, a toy walkie-talkie. Again, just more strips of wood just dumped here. The obligatory shopping trolley that has to appear in any one of these scenes. Rubbish, rubbish, rubbish. Again, just the absolute stench of putrid. This is absolutely putrid here.
I live 2 miles down the road, and I don't know why I pay council tax, because the roads are as bad as they've ever been.
Yeah.
Everywhere's
Yeah.
What can you do?
But I mean, it's just a health hazard. This people are going to get ill.
Well, my neighbour told me the other day someone's been bit by rats. Rats the size of cats running.
Someone got bitten by one?
That's what my neighbour said, yeah. Elderly old woman, do you know what I mean? In the house on her own. I'm having to do tick runs for her.
Oh, mate. Well, good on you, anyway, and I'm sorry that this is the case.
Everyone's got to tidy up after themselves.
Well, you'd have thought so, but clearly some people aren't. Absolutely massive, massive pile of rubbish. And you can see that things have been eating this. I mean, if I kick one of these, probably sorry if a rat doesn't run out from in here. The constituency of our Justice Minister is a biohazard. Let that sink in. Now, those MPs that I mentioned there, we did, by the way, approach all of them for comment. They may say that this is an issue involving the local council and the unions. Many other people might say, if you knew your constituency looked like that and your constituents were living in that kind of filth, should you not be doing more to sort it out? And perhaps, in the case of Mr Ali, be doing a little bit less work on a new airport in Pakistan. Let's get the thoughts of my panel this evening. We've got columnist and broadcaster Esther Krakow. We also have GB News presenter Alex Armstrong and journalist Jonathan Liss. I mean, that is really quite astonishing, the state of Birmingham there, and some Labour big hitters. I think certainly in the case of Tahir Ali, Alex, people didn't really seem to know who he was, and I would argue maybe he needs to get his own house in order before he deals with the aviation habits of the people of Mirpur.
Yeah, well, it's very selective, that little bit of work he's done, and the fact he's gone back into Parliament to say, oh, I've been attacked by people online. Well, most reasonable people weren't saying that the British government were going to fund a foreign airport. They were just outraged at the fact a British Member of Parliament on taxpayer dime was spending his time advocating for domestic infrastructure in a foreign country in, frankly, disputed territory in that foreign country. It's a complete waste of taxpayers' money. And whilst those shocking images and that footage you just showed us, that's what's happening in his constituency. Where is he?
Well, Esther, yeah, I hate to say this because there's a huge amount of great people that I spoke to today and great people that I met, and I'm not, entirely blaming all of the residents for anything of that, but it did look and feel like a third world country, not Britain's second city.
Well, the thing is, well, yes, obviously, but also the priorities of our politicians are clearly out of whack. Again, can you imagine? So imagine if this was in Mirpur, where this Mr. Tahir Ali seems to be obsessed with getting an airport there, and those streets were lined with rubbish, even though those people pay a lot of money to expect weekly bin pickups. How do you think the reaction would be if he was advocating for a new airport in Kent, for example, to cater to the local population there? That's literally it. Whenever we talk about these things, we just have to juxtapose it to another situation and see how ludicrous it is. Because I actually think, on some level, the council should be sued for this. They've broken the social contract. Residents of Birmingham City Council are having to pay 25% more in council tax because of the financial impropriety of that council, and yet their bins aren't even picked up. You have grannies being bitten by rodents. I mean, this is not left or right. This is just absolute nonsense.
It's not Britain, is it?
Okay. Well, Jonathan, I mean, do you think that this is just Labour's fault? Have they got their priorities all wrong? Some big hitter MPs there, and we were there in their seats, and I mean, it was awful.
Patrick, MPs are not responsible for arbitrating strike disputes, and clearly it's not the government, the national government is not responsible for collecting our rubbish.
You're responsible for an airport in Pakistan.
Look, that is an MP who has a lot of constituents from the Kashmiri region who have an interest, Yes, of course, you can walk and chew gum at the same time. It's possible.
No, some people just don't want their kids being bitten by rats. I'm just saying that most parents,
do you think this man, Esther, do you think this MP has the right to... do you think that he has the competence... Do you think he has the right, the power, the competence to summon the unions and Birmingham Council to sort this out? Does he have any power to do this whatsoever? No, he's a backbench
The criticism
MP.
is, Jonathan, is that he's not even writing letters, publicly going out and saying, we need to get people together. Why can't the government... Can we get someone from the government to step in? His party are in a position of power, and instead he's wasting his time writing letters with other Labour MPs who are not even from that constituency, garnering support for an international airport in a foreign country. You must understand the outrage of the public are rightfully outraged at him.
Well, I don't understand why the public needs to be...
active trade... About Tahir Ali on his website, right? He is an active trade unionist and served as a political officer for the Communication Workers' Party. He is also a member of Unite. Who's calling the strike? Unite. So do you not think maybe he's been slightly compromised there?
Listen, I have a hunch. I'm no expert, but I feel like priorities are a bit out of whack. If I happen to be a resident in his constituency, I may be a bit more concerned about my child being bitten by a rat or having to deal with any sort of illnesses from the infestation than an airport in a disputed territory.
Do you think he's compromised there? If he's a member of Unite are on strike. It's easy gravy for him to go into Parliament and talk about Palestine and to talk about an airport in Mirpur, but not really, it seems, to do that much about his union that people are going to get ill.
Are we interested in gestures and symbolism, or are we actually interested in getting this very, very serious problem resolved? It is not backbench. It is not backbench MPs who are going to resolve the infestation problem. It is a local council negotiating with this union that has actually acted very. The council has acted very, very badly in firing people who were necessary, who had necessary roles, and also it's absolutely fair that those bin workers have been given an £8,000 pay cut, and understandably they're very angry about it. So obviously, I agree that the national government should be stepping in to help. But you're asking me what the solutions are. This is a complete distraction.
One thing I'm going to ask now, and I'm going to put this to you, Alex, is that whilst I will say that I spoke to a huge number of very, very good, lovely people there in Birmingham, I couldn't help but wonder whether or not some personal responsibility has to be taken place here. If you lived in that area, and I get that your bins aren't being taken out, but what you will notice on those streets is those streets were lined with cars. And I think that more people could have been putting their own rubbish in their cars and driving to a tip or a mobile refuse centre. Does it not seem a little bit odd that so many people appeared, well, not content to live in their own filth, but were certainly adding to it?
Yeah, well, I think this is the breakdown of British society, isn't it? I mean, there used to be a feeling of coming together and helping each other and solving problems. If the government let you down, Brits would normally, used to, get together and solve problems. That's what lots of local community groups used to do. That is gone in modern-day Britain, unfortunately, isn't it? And I think that what you're seeing on the streets of Birmingham is people going, not my problem anymore, it's the council's problem.
But they're adding to it.
Well, they're adding to it, of course,
throwing things out
I do
on
feel
the
sympathy
street
for them, by the way. I do feel sympathy for them.
Council tax.
They are paying for the service.
I get that. But however, on the other hand, I mean, I personally couldn't live like that. That's disgusting. However, they are paying a lot of money in council tax. And literally all they get are street lights and bin collection. Half of that is not being done. I completely understand the anger and the frustration. And I completely agree with Jonathan, by the way. Birmingham City Council has been atrocious. People need to go to prison for the amount of financial impropriety that has gone on there. It is £1 billion worth of debt for a council. Are you kidding?
OK.
How is that even possible?
Stop voting for
it as well. All right. Well, look, I imagine that people at Birmingham City Council will deny that they need to go to prison. However, GBNews did approach Tahir Ali and Shabana Mahmood for comment, but we did not hear back. Liam Byrne, who was mentioned there in that package, said it is completely unacceptable that my constituents have had to live with uncollected rubbish piling up on their streets, causing concern about public health risks. My team has been going around the area calling in incidents of fly tipping and where rubbish piles are building up. All local MPs have urged the council and unions to conclude their standoff. Our residents deserve to live in a clean environment that they can be proud of. Oh, good. The leader of Birmingham City Council, John Cotton, said, I respect the right to strike and protest. However, actions on the picket line must be lawful, and sadly, the behaviour of some now means we are seeing a significant impact on the residents of the city's environment. Well, there we go. The latest from Birmingham there. It is time now for the greatest ever Great British giveaway. Here's your chance to drive away with a brand new motorhome worth £67,000 and all the cash you can need. That's not true, about £5 grand.
We're we're making the Great British Giveaway a getaway with a chance to win our biggest prize to date. You could be the proud owner of this Elneg Baron 560 motorhome, worth over £67,000. Supplied brand new from Marquis Leisure, you could be exploring Great Britain and beyond this summer and making memories to last a lifetime. This motorhome comfortably sleeps 4, has its own kitchen and bathroom spaces, and comes complete with all of the mod cons you'd expect from a vehicle of this calibre. And that's not all, as we'll also give you £5,000 in tax-free cash so you can get started on your next adventure as soon as possible. For a chance to win a motorhome and cash, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entry start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB13 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 6th of June. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Coming up shortly, all of tomorrow's newspaper front pages. Anne, can you tell me, please, what's so special about these little guys? I'll reveal all very, very soon. And, well, an armada came across the channel today. We'll talk about that next.
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask. OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician. Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits. You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it. That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless. But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show. Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Headliners on GB News 11 p.m. every night. It's got 3 top comedians going through the next day's newspapers so you don't have to read them, which is great.
That's a good point. He's lying. I mean, maybe he's not lying.
That's Headliners every night from 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. as well on GB News, Britain's news channel.
GB News Breakfast every day from 6 a.m.
If you've read Spare, you'll know that Prince Harry's very open, isn't he, about his drug taking in the past. So it's going to be interesting to see if he was honest in his visa application.
Well, we're absolutely waiting for it. Yes, he admitted he took cannabis, cocaine and magic mushrooms, as we know in Spare, and also the Netflix series. He said that. There's been so much talk about it, and obviously Judge Carl Nichols originally said he refused to release any footage, saying that he basically because of Prince Harry's privacy. But as we know, Trump, border security and application of rule is one of his priorities. And I do see Harry as a pawn, really, for Trump and collateral. So everyone's waiting to see what happens. Tuesday is the day, D-Day. We don't know whether Prince Harry is quaking in his boots. But, you know, he quit being a working royal. Well, did he get preferential treatment? We don't know. There is possible misconduct. Apparently, DHS says that actually releasing the paperwork won't shed any light onto how things work. But there are thoughts as well that he could have entered on a special visa. Now, this is an A1 visa that deals with immigration paperwork. And it's a special kind of visa for heads of states and royal people. So Prince Harry could have got through on that, but we're waiting to hear. It's D-Day tomorrow.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GBNews, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back. It was another monumental day in the Channel, with an armada of hundreds of illegal migrants making the crossing from France to the UK. More than 400 of them arrived in Britain earlier today, bringing the total number of small boat arrivals to a record 7,000 so far this year. And just yesterday, an illegal migrant who arrived in the UK on a small boat back in 2023 was jailed for 45 months after posting pro-Islamic State videos online. Hakan Barak, a 28-year-old Turkish national, was arrested last year by counter-terrorism police after sharing content glorifying ISIS and terrorists such as Osama bin Laden. I'm joined now by Stephen Wolfe, the director of the Centre for Migration and Economic Prosperity. Stephen, thank you very much. Tremendous to have you on the show. So, first things first, today, an armada escorted by the French arrived in Britain.
Yes, Patrick, that takes us up to about 7,000 who have crossed the Channel this year. Those are big numbers compared to the years in the past. That takes us up about 33% up from last year. So we're looking towards now an estimate of about 70,000 that will come across the Channel at a massive cost to this country of about 6 billion.
So just to be clear there, Stephen, you think that maybe 70,000 illegal migrants will cross the Channel this year?
Yes, I mean, if we're looking around the biggest numbers that we've had in the past, this is matching that. And so we're edging into the 60, 70,000 range. But because of the numbers are 33% up last year, and of course, we had the warnings from Europol and the security services in Europe that said 2.5 million people had entered into Europe through the western and eastern migration routes. And those, when that happens, that means that they will be translated in bigger numbers coming to the UK as one of the top 4 nations that face these migrants when they come into Europe.
Well, exactly. Keir Starmer said we wanted to be world leading, just not, I imagine, in this. But the only reason we know about a man called Hakan Barak, a 28-year-old Turkish national who has been jailed now for glorifying ISIS and terrorists such as Osama bin Laden, is because he did us all a favour by posting those videos online. If people who have just come across the Channel, and I am not saying at all that every single person who's come across the Channel today is some kind of Islamic State fundamentalist, no. However, we wouldn't really know if they were, would we? Unless they posted it online. And this is a problem.
It is a problem. He's not the first. We had Mada Passa, who came across on his TikTok message showing guns. We have Abu Wadai, who in March was also on TikTok doing so. But the big thing that we have to look at is most of the international security services say around 15 to 25% of Islam or people who believe in Islam are on the kind of terrorist or extreme wing of Islamism. And if we translate that into the numbers that are coming across into the UK, we would be looking at around 10 to 15,000 people that could be regarded as radical Islamists on those boats. That would mean, therefore, our security services are concerned about it. And are they? Of course. They say radical Islam is still the #1 concern of MI5 in this country.
Indeed, Stephen, thank you very, very much. It's been tremendous to have you on the show, as always. The wonderful Stephen Wolfe, who is the director for the Centre of Migration and Economic Prosperity, just reviewing there a devastating day in the Channel, no doubt one of many still to come. Coming up, I'll have the very first look at tomorrow's newspaper front pages with my panel. And did Prince Harry deliberately upstage the King and Queen earlier today? And please, can anyone tell me what is so special about these little guys? I'll reveal all very shortly. Stay tuned.
I forecast a perfect holiday in the sun.
Weather looking good then?
For sure, and no worries about our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
A cold spell will affect eastern parts of Europe this week. Some areas could see temperatures 10 degrees below average. Rather showery at times across Madeira and Tenerife, with longer spells of rain later through the day. Largely dry, though, across Spain and Portugal, just perhaps the odd shower affecting Nice, Rome, Sardinia, and perhaps some shorelines of Greece. But otherwise largely settled, lots of sunshine around, but temperatures in the mid-teens. But we'll see more sunshine as we head through the week. Still rather showery across Tenerife, but temperatures improving to the mid to high teens by the time we reach Saturday.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
If you want your news to be straight talking...
This is a nightmare for the Conservatives again.
Down to earth.
It's not just Nottingham where this is happening, is it?
And most importantly, honest.
Hard-working, middle-class taxpayers, they'll get their book thrown at them.
Then catch me, Martin Daubney, Monday to Friday, 3 till 6 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop stars to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask. OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician. Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off-limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
The royal family is an enduring symbol of tradition, unity and pride for Britain. At GB News, we celebrate what makes this country great. In our new Royal Newsletter series, you can join me, Cameron Walker, for Inside the Palace, an exclusive look every week that takes you beyond the gates and brings you the very latest from those at the heart of the monarchy. Never miss a royal moment again. Sign up now. Go to gbnews.com/royal newsletter and get the latest straight to your inbox.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel. And as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/your say. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
All right, welcome back, everybody. We've got tomorrow's newspaper front pages now. Let's start with the Daily Express. Bonkers Council bans VE Day parade for being too elitist. A council has decided to not allow the military parade to mark the 80th anniversary of VE Day because it's elitist. This is a stance taken by the Liberal Democrat-run Dacorum Borough Council, apparently. So there we go.
Lacking.
The iPaper have gone with Trump hits China with 104% tariffs. The Mirror, they've gone for Harry. I'm not treated fairly over security. So I'm going to be talking about that as well. The Guardian, US and China on collision course for all-out trade war as tariffs hit. They also have the Harry story there, turned up at court today. And the Daily Telegraph, he's dumb as a sack of bricks. Musk tears into Trump's tariff guru as tensions mount within president's inner circle over fallout from global trade war. Well, there we go. Well, let's just remind ourselves about Prince Harry, because he jetted back into the UK today. It was a bit of a surprise for a High Court showdown. He's appealing the government's decision to scrap his government-funded, i.e. taxpayer-funded, I think, security. The Duke of Sussex arrived in London on Sunday from Los Angeles. didn't make time to meet with his father. Indeed, Harry's been accused of upstaging the King and Queen's arrival in Rome. They received a red carpet welcome. They were greeted by a fly past. It is also their 20th wedding anniversary. Lovely photo there in the British ambassador's residence in Rome. That will be tomorrow, the wedding anniversary. So, Alex, do you think Harry's deliberately upstaged the King here?
No, I don't, actually. But on his case in particular, what I find really interesting, and this is where the government's going to come into difficulty, is they gave that blue light escort to Taylor Swift, didn't they?
Is he using that against them?
Right, well, I don't know, but he should be. And if not, I'll be his lawyer, and I'll tell you what, I'll take the money for it. But, you know, that is literally the hypocrisy of it. If the government are going to say, they've handed him an open goal here, if the government are going to say, well, we're not going to fund you, Prince Harry, you're no longer a working royal, but we'll do it for Taylor Swift.
Well, if Prince Harry was playing to a sold-out Wembley Stadium, perhaps they'd give him one as well.
Yeah, because everyone would be deaf. There'd be compensation.
Listen, I'm not... I think most people know I'm not huge fans of Harry and Meghan, and I wish they would just have the privacy they asked for. However, given this case, he might have a point now.
That's the point. If we gave it to Taylor Swift, do we not have to give it to Prince Harry?
Taylor Swift, and we really ripped into the ministers for doing it. Also, that being said, he is arguing that he's been treated unfairly because his assessment basically singles him out. If you're not a working royal, what he is basically asking for is to have the Metropolitan Police on standby for whenever him and his wife and his kids choose to come into the UK and grace us with their presence. That's not how it works. The Beckhams are just as famous as him and his wife, and guess what? They pay for security like every other celebrity. That is a higher risk, but isn't entitled to state-funded security, and he should be okay with that. No one has kicked him out of the UK. He chose to step down. He chose to do it for love, and I have no problem with that. They're adults, they can start their family. I wish them every happiness. But this is how the cookie crumbles.
Jonathan, would you fund Harry's security?
I don't know. Maybe.
Decisive.
I'd have to know what the.
Because the argument is that he's rich enough to fund it himself.
Look, he is a member of he is a royal personage. I know he's not a working member of the royal family.
That's the difference.
He is, he has grown up with an immense number of threats against him, and he has had publicly funded security his whole life. And he would argue that he should be entitled to that when he's in the UK, because it shouldn't be. If something were to happen to him, that would be on the UK government.
He does get it if he was coming in in the capacity of a working royal, or if he was under the umbrella of other royals. So, for instance, the Queen's funeral or stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's not like he doesn't get it at all. It's just a case-by-case basis. And that's the argument, because he just thinks that if he's coming to go into his local fish and chip shop in Kensington, he should automatically have armed guards that look like they just walked out of Black Panther. And I'm sorry, that's not how it works.
Well, what I'm not 100% sure of here, and I'm willing to be corrected, but my understanding is he's come back to the UK now, so he's in the UK now, presumably without taxpayer-funded police protection, to attend a court hearing in person to say how it's impossible for him to set foot back into the UK without taxpayer-funded police protection.
How dare you?
Maybe I've missed something there.
I'm not sure. He's obviously not saying it's impossible. He's saying it's very, very difficult.
But it turns out maybe it's actually really easy because he's doing it.
Very, very difficult.
I don't know.
I'm sure he would definitely have had security when he was here. I think also he's making the point that he doesn't want to compromise the safety of his wife and children.
Yes, and I can absolutely 100% sympathise with that, yes. Now, this is a viral clip for you. TV presenter AJ Adudu seemed to be forcibly grabbed by Mickey Rourke during Celebrity Big Brother's live launch show last night. Viewers slammed the Hollywood actor following his creepy behaviour on the show. Let's take a look.
You tonight. Thank you so much. Thank you. But listen, stop looking at me. It's everything to get into my mouth. Lights, camera, action. It's Mickey Rourke, everyone.
Mickey Rourke there being Mickey Rourke, having to be told to basically stop checking out a woman on stage. Nice to see Celebrity Big Brother has got off to an absolute flyer. Well, coming up, I've got all of tomorrow's newspaper front pages, and I'm finally going to be revealing what was so special about those cute little white fluffy things I showed you earlier on. Stay tuned.
Good evening. Here's your Met Office weather update for GB News. Whilst there will be a little bit of rain pushing into the far north by Friday, before then we have plenty of fine, dry weather to come. That's because high pressure is over the UK at the moment and it's not going anywhere particularly fast, so we're going to stick with this settled theme. Lots of sunny weather, lots of clear skies as we go through this evening and overnight. That being said, though, across northern parts of Scotland, some cloud feeding in overnight and down the eastern side of Scotland and also eastern southern England, some clouds, some low clouds, some misty murkiness, bit of fog feeding in from the North Sea. Further west, where we have clearer skies, again, it's going to be a bit of a chilly night, touch of frost quite likely, particularly in prone rural spots. As we go through tomorrow morning, then a bit of a westy split when it comes to clouds amounts. Across the west, Wales, western parts of England, lots of fine sunny weather, but further east, a cloudier story. Similar story further north, Northern Ireland, western parts of Scotland and northwest England, lots of bright sunny weather to be had early on, but in the east it is going to be pretty grey, some low cloud around, some mist, some fog. Most of that is, though, going to burn away as we go through the day. Not all of it. Across some eastern coastal parts, particularly of England, but perhaps the southeast of Scotland too. Here, some of that cloud's going to be pretty nagging and linger through much of the day. And so feeling pretty cool with a bit of a breeze as well. But elsewhere, where we see a good deal of sunshine, it is going to feel relatively warm. Temperatures peaking in the mid to high teens Celsius. As we look into Thursday, and a change in our wind direction changes, well, where we see the clouds. So a bit more cloud across central southeastern parts of England, but further north across eastern parts of Scotland, northeast England, much less cloud than we'll see on Wednesday. And with that change in wind direction, we're going to see things turning much warmer in those parts as well. Low 20s looks quite likely. Otherwise, and as we go into the weekend, well, sunny for most, but a bit of rain in the north.
Welcome back. I've got some more front pages for you now. The Times has got London drops down wealth list as super rich move out. Well, I can categorically tell you they've not gone to Birmingham. But Capital has lost more millionaires than anywhere outside of Moscow, which is not great. Keir Starmer was earlier on telling us how many people have invested in Britain, so OK. The Sun, royals estranged for 14 months. Harry jets to UK for court whinge over security, but doesn't visit King nearby. Moan alone is what they've gone for. So there we are. Well, I wanted to finish the show with a little bit of a lighter touch and bring this to your attention. So scientists have managed to bring dire wolves back from extinction after more than 12,000 years. So, if you're not familiar, dire wolves are basically ancient, massive wolves, really. And scientists confirmed yesterday that they had successfully bred 80-pound brothers Romulus and Remus, named after the fabled founders of Rome, who were nurtured by a she-wolf, as well as a younger female pup named Khaleesi, which takes its name from the popular Game of Thrones character. Now, the people behind this are also about to do the same, you ready for this? With a woolly mammoth. Yes, they are. They're going to bring back to life.
Where are they going to keep it?
Woolly mammoth.
Where do they keep it like a woolly mammoth, like in a giant ship?
Well, they have bases. They have bases around the place. The Arctic is one of the places where I believe they've got a set up.
No, because then they'll get bullied. Because then all the other animals would be like, who are you?
Why not dinosaurs?
Well,
do you think we should set up some kind of theme park where we have dinosaurs?
Even better, guys, we could bring back the bin lorry men in Birmingham.
He always has to make it political, doesn't he?
No, but I can tell you, they already have dinosaurs in America. It's their chicken wings. It's clearly from a pterodactyl because it's massive. They have huge meat, so it's clearly
not
weird.
The
show is dilapidated.
There was me thinking it couldn't get any weirder than an actual dire wolf, right? But there we are.
It's a polar bear.
No, it's not a polar bear. It's a massive wolf.
Polar bear, and it's just had anchovies. Why are we discussing this?
No, I'm telling you, I think this is quite cool. We could, to your point, genuinely about dinosaurs, they could conceivably bring anything back.
It's Jurassic Park, isn't it?
It is.
We've been warned about this, Patrick. We've been warned about this.
Because they found the corpse of a dire wolf.
Could they bring back Top of the Pops then?
Let Jon Snow. He had a dire wolf. Let him check.
I can't believe I'm having to explain this to you. What do you think? Some big. Why would someone lie about this, Esther? They've got it, right? They've found the bodies of these things and they've cloned them.
I'm telling you, it's a polar bear, and it just had.
She thinks that everything is a conspiracy.
There's only one way to find out. When that dire wolf turns into a raging killing machine in about 2 weeks' time, this is what people don't understand. They're like, oh, it's so cute. Look how white and fluffy it is.
Yeah.
That thing is coming back from the past to slaughter anything within its size.
Where are they going to keep it? They can't keep it anywhere. They're lying. They're going to keep it in the freezer because it's a polar bear.
Well, we'll see. We'll see about it. I mean, I don't know. Personally, I think it's absolutely. I think it's amazing.
It's brilliant, isn't it?
Well,
it's incredible stuff.
Are they like werewolves then?
No,
I'm joking. I'm joking.
Long day. OK, it's been a long day. I was up at 7:30 this morning driving to Birmingham, and when I got there, it turned out it was even worse than I thought it was. No
Where did you park?
No offence to the people of Birmingham, of course. It was just, I can still taste it in the back of my throat. Still taste it in the back of my throat. Absolutely horrendous. Anyway, coming up next, it is, of course, Headliners, presented tonight by the wonderful Josh Howie. And Josh, there appears to be, as ever, a huge variety of stories for you and your wonderful motley crew to get your teeth stuck into. Go on.
Yeah, sorry, I loved your show tonight, by the way, Patrick, and it just reminded me that I have to text my wife to put out the bins. So let me just do that. Thank you for that. So, yes, tonight we have all rich people are leaving London. Who doesn't want you to buy British? JD Vance has insulted all Chinese people. We have Archie Manners, we have Kerry Marks, we've got all the front pages. It's going to be a great show.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. Well, look, Josh, I'm looking forward to it. I'll be glued to it when I get home for the screens. Make sure that you keep it GB News and keep it Headliners for the next hour at least. Josh Howie there, the presenter of Headliners. Just a quickly one here. I'm quite keen to get your views on this, Jonathan. I mean, Keir Starmer was talking about how we've got loads of investment, this, that and the other, and the Times are carrying the story. London drops down wealth list. Only Moscow has lost more millionaires than us. What's going on?
I don't know. I don't know where they're going.
I don't know what's going on. The Labour government.
Rats found a way to travel down the M40.
It could well be that they're so enraged by this government's passionate agenda for social justice and to redistribute wealth, they decide to go somewhere else, like Trump's America, where everything's about to go pear-shaped and there's going to be a recession.
Well, it could be that, or they could be sick and tired of people smoking crack on the tube. I mean, either.
Take it. Don't knock it till you've tried it.
We did have to blur your face. But... It's an annual report on global wealth found that the UK's capital lost $11,300 millionaires in the last year. Now, if people go, oh, well, it doesn't matter, I don't care. Well, actually, to be fair, people should care because they pay a lot of tax, generally speaking.
They pay the top 25% of the tax, and they bring the jobs. And at the end of the day, guess who's going to pay the tax now? Us lot. We're going to be paying it. That's the reality.
Well, we'd have been paying it anyway, then.
Well, a massive thank you to my wonderful panel. Headliners are on next. I would just say a massive thank you to all of the wonderful people that I met in Birmingham. Good luck to you. I really do hope that situation sorts itself out very, very soon to your satisfaction. I would like to thank everybody who's been watching and listening, and I hope to see as many of you as possible right here, live, in this very studio, for my live Friday night studio audience shows. It's a great way to get to meet so many wonderful viewers and listeners. People have travelled from Edinburgh, people have travelled from Wales, so hey, what's your excuse, hey? But in the meantime, I will see you tomorrow at 9 p.m. Take it easy.
Even though we'll see a cloudy start, it'll be a bright outlook for the rest of the day. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Good evening. Here's your Met Office weather update for GB News. Whilst there will be a little bit of rain pushing into the far north by Friday, before then we have plenty of fine, dry weather to come. That's because high pressure is over the UK at the moment and it's not going anywhere particularly fast, so we're going to stick with this settled theme. Lots of sunny weather, lots of clear skies as we go through this evening and overnight. That being said, though, across northern parts of Scotland, some cloud feeding in overnight, and down the eastern side of Scotland and also eastern England, some clouds, some low clouds, some misty murkiness, bit of fog feeding in from the North Sea. Further west, where we have clearer skies, again, it's going to be a bit of a chilly night, a touch of frost quite likely, particularly in prone rural spots. As we go through tomorrow morning, then a bit of a westy split when it comes to clouds amounts. Across the west, Wales, western parts of England, lots of fine sunny weather, but further east, a cloudier story. Similar story further north, Northern Ireland, western parts of Scotland and northwest England, lots of bright sunny weather to be had early on, but in the east it is going to be pretty grey, some low cloud around, some mist, some fog. Most of that is, though, going to burn away as we go through the day. Not all of it. Across some eastern coastal parts, particularly of England, but perhaps the southeast of Scotland too. Here, some of that cloud's going to be pretty nagging and linger through much of the day. And so feeling pretty cool with a bit of a breeze as well. But elsewhere, where we see a good deal of sunshine, it is going to feel relatively warm. Temperatures peaking in the mid to high teens Celsius. As we look into Thursday, and a change in our wind direction changes, well, where we see the clouds. So a bit more cloud across central southeastern parts of England, but further north across eastern parts of Scotland, northeast England, much less cloud than we'll see on Wednesday. And with that change in wind direction, we're going to see things turning much warmer in those parts as well. Low 20s looks quite likely. Otherwise, and as we go into the weekend, well, sunny for most, but a bit of rain in the north.
Even though we'll see a cloudy start, it'll be a bright outlook for the rest of the day. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Courtesy of Marquis Leisure, you could be driving away with this brand new Elnag Baron 560 motorhome. It comfortably sleeps 4, comes with Skyroof, integrated kitchen and bathroom, and is worth over £67,000. And that's not all, as we'll also give you a further £5,000 in tax-free cash to make sure that wherever this motorhome takes you, it takes you there in style. For a chance to win a motorhome and cash, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB13 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK owned.